Hi, welcome to your child's second grade Big Backyard Spring Walk. When you start the walk, before you go to the classroom, if you come to this document carousel, you will find two sheets, the introduction and the wrap-up sheet, and there will also be a map in here that you can take before you go up to the classroom. Once you go up to the classroom, there will be bug boxes for each walk leader to bring with their group. So when you come out with your group, you will have your introduction sheet, and it will give you a list of things that you can discuss with the children as you walk to your first station. Some of the things on the list are that in this walk, we will compare habitats in the schoolyard, collect data on insects and plant interactions, we're going to make a sketch, discover where insects are found, and discover what insects are doing. And we can ask the students, what is your focus question for this walk? What can we learn about insects and their behavior through field research? We're really going to be scientists today, and we're going to do some data recording. And are insects important, and why or why not? Other things that are on this introduction sheet include where should we look for insects? So on the hard top of the playground, in bushes, etc. Do you think we'll find different insects in different locations? What strategies do insects use to protect themselves? Some smell bad, some have camouflage, some sting, some are really fast. Students will then head to an area to find insects. Look for insects in this way. We're looking for sound, sight, and also smell. So we're thinking about not smelling the insects, but how would insects find flowers? They might actually use their sense of smell to find a flower. Look for other signs of insects, nests or holes in leaves, which will show an insect has been there eating the leaf. And also look for webs, and those are made by spiders. And are spiders insects? You can have that discussion with the children. Why do you think there are more insects in some areas than others? We're at our first stop during the walk, and we're at the rose bushes towards the front of the school. And we're going to look at the difference in this walk between plants that are planted by us versus plants that grow wild, and see what different types of insects surround these kinds of plants. And what the children are going to do at this station and the rest of the stations is they are going to have these worksheets. On the worksheets, they are going to stop and look around you, see what you observe. Are there insects present? If there are no insects, why might that be? And then all of the pictures represent a different behavior. So the picture is not the insect. You're not looking for that insect. You're looking for the behavior. So we have eating, flying, hiding, pollinating, crawling, and then any other activity they see the insects doing. And they're just going to put a check mark underneath the picture, and at the end they'll tally up and figure out which behavior they saw the most of. On the next page, they can do this at every station or just one of the stations. They're going to take a closer look, compare an insect they discovered, and maybe compare it to the painted lady butterfly that they've been studying in class. They can draw a picture. They can list ways that it's similar or different. But this is also a fairly open page. They can do what they want. They can turn it over. They can draw as many insects as they want. If they want to compare it to the painted lady, they can. If they don't, that's fine too. Just to get them recording. This is just for them to understand that scientists record what they see. And that's what the purpose of this paper is. So here's another stop in our spring backyard walk. And this one is towards the back of the school behind the greenhouse. And there's a variety of plants here. Some are flowering and some aren't. So the children really can pick an area, and we do have a rhododendron that's flowering. Different things, different years will be flowering, so they can just sort of find a space. And again, they're going to record on their sheets. They're going to look for all the different signs of insects. There's also a sheet here, a station sheet, which will have some other questions that they can answer. For example, do insects need plants, and do plants need insects? So plants need insects to pollinate, but if there are too many insects, could that be a negative? How could that affect the plants badly. So for example, if there are too many insects eating the leaves, it could negatively affect the plants. So just read through this. There's a lot of good discussion here that you can go through with the students as they're doing some recording on their sheets. Okay, here's another stop on our spring walk, and now we're in the meadow. So we're going to have the children look at the plants that they see here, compare them to what they saw around the playground, which are all plants that humans have planted, versus these plants which are just wild. And we're going to look at how many insects they see here, and again they're going to use their recording sheet for behavior, and look at the difference in the types of plants. Look at how much more planting there is. There's the whole meadow that's all grass, and you can see dandelions, clover, all kinds of flowering plants. And do we see more insects here or fewer than we saw on the playground? And maybe different types of insects. So we're really just going to be comparing the overall environment for the insects and just recording how many insects we see on our sheet. Another interesting thing the kids could do is they could put a check mark or somehow notate insects that they're seeing on the playground versus in the meadow. Anything to add to their data set. So enjoy the meadow. It's beautiful here, and the kids can spend a little extra time here. They don't have to go to this particular spot. They can spread out a little more if they'd like. Here we are at another stop on our walk. So this is our anthill stop. And again, there's going to be a sheet that you can ask the children questions. We have a lot of ant activity here. We are currently over behind the kindergarten wing, so this walk is fairly spread out. But we're going to talk about, on this sheet here, you can talk to the students about what ants do, what kind of insects they are. Are they pollinators? Do they fly? If they don't fly, then how do they pollinate? And they've talked a little bit about this in the classroom. The ants will walk into the plants, they will get the pollen on their feet, and then they walk to other plants, and that's how they pollinate. So read the sheet, and you can have some questions for the children that they'll be able to answer probably, and then also make sure they're still recording the ant activity on their worksheets. So one other thing when you're doing this walk, it's a fairly open walk. We do have the stations marked, but if the children see a lot of insect activity, stop wherever you see the activity and let them record. They don't have to go to all the stations. They don't even have to really go to any of the stations. This is really just getting them to record insect activity and think about the differences in the seasons, how many insects they're seeing now versus how many they would see in the fall and the winter. So feel free to go wherever the kids sort of lead you, and go to the stations if you can, but if you don't go to the stations and get distracted by insects, that's perfectly okay. Thanks for doing the walk.